Welcome to Miles Ahead, the Canadian Points Podcast, brought to you by FrugalFlyer.ca, where we talk about all things miles and points, a hobby that allows us to travel all over the world in style and on a budget. Today, we're discussing the value of premium credit cards, how to justify their annual fees, and how to maximize their benefits. As a reminder, I'm Danny.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Josh.
Before we delve too far into this episode, I want to take a moment and remind listeners that you can always find our timestamps in the show notes if you want to skip to a specific section or come back and listen to something again. Additionally, if you're enjoying what you hear, please take a moment to leave us a review and a rating on your preferred podcast platform. We read all of the feedback, and the reviews in particular help us tremendously. So, to start off, what is classified as a premium credit card? Josh, what would you say the defining factor for a premium credit card is?
Yeah, so the first thing I look for is the annual fee. Premium credit cards always have higher annual fees as a result of all of the bells and whistles that they have, which we'll talk about later. Typically, anything in Canada with over a $400 annual fee is kind of what I would consider to be a premium credit card. We do have many cards in Canada that are, even up to double 400. We have some at 800 annual fee, and all of those would fall within that realm of a premium card. So really, kind of the baseline, what you're looking for is the annual fee or the price of holding that card for a year.
Yeah, and there's obviously going to be some benefits that go along with that, which we'll get into. But Jeff, what are some of the premium credit cards in Canada that we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah, so there's actually quite a few. American Express are going to be probably some of the most popular ones that we seem to always talk about. That being the Platinum and the Business Platinum. These are probably the most premium cards in Canada. They have the highest annual fee out of any card in Canada, as Josh said, $800 a year. Some other ones are the Aeroplan premium credit cards. Those are issued by Amex, TD, CIBC. These have a lot of Aeroplan related benefits to them. And then also you have the Visa Infinite Privilege family of cards. These are issued by the big banks in Canada. So you could say CIBC, RBC, BMO, Scotia. Those banks all have a Visa Infinite Privilege, which is the highest tier of Visa cards that are issued in Canada. And these all generally earn a bank currency, I'm going to call them, I guess. So their own in-house currency is what these usually earn. And I think that kind of covers all of them. I guess TD doesn't have a Visa Infinite Privilege that earns a bank currency, does it? So it's just the Aeroplan card. Yeah, so that pretty much covers all of the banks in Canada that issue a premium credit card.
Yes, and then being that we at Frugal Flyer kind of specialize in the U.S. side of things as well, and ITINs and all that good stuff, how to get U.S. credit cards. We also have to talk about our favorite U.S. premium cards. So these ones are going to be also issued by Amex. You can see that there's a very clear trend here. If you're new to the hobby, get used to American Express. You are going to have a lot of them if you want to take this to a high level. So things like the Platinum card, the U.S. Business Platinum, the Bonvoy Brilliant, which is a U.S. specific card, which grants you platinum status, or the Hilton Aspire, which is a $550 card. We've also got the Sapphire Reserve and the Sapphire Business Reserve from Chase, the Capital One Venture X, which earns 2x miles everywhere and is a favorite of Quinton, who is a contributor over at the site. And then we also have a few more outliers for Canadians that we don't see a lot, like the Citi Strata Elite card and the Bank of America Atmos Rewards Summit Visa Infinite. That is a lot of words in a credit card title. So I think we do need to have a brief discussion about how to get your mind over these high annual fees, because especially if you are listening to this show for the first time, you might have a no annual fee or have a premium credit card in your mind that you pay $150 a year for, and you're like, why would I ever pay $800 a year for a credit card? How could that be worth it? And I think let's take a moment and just talk about how we justify the high annual fees for ourselves. Like, what makes us decide to pay $800 a year for a card?
Yeah, I think it's a hard pill to swallow. Your first premium card, I know I ran into that many years ago. The way I look at it now is, yes, you're essentially fronting a high annual fee on many of these premium cards, and it's not cheap. But I don't think I've ever added a premium card to my wallet that didn't derive more value than what I've paid for the annual fee. Now, that value derivation, as we'll talk about in the next section, but like benefits, welcome bonus, credits, that sort of thing, whether there's a cash value or not, or just an intrinsic value, I've always gotten far more than what I've paid. It still sucks to pay an $800 annual fee, but I know over the course of a year I will benefit far greater than $800, for example.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything Josh said, but I think you may want to you're going to want to be a person that falls into kind of one or two categories, and that's a person that travels a lot, because a lot of these benefits are related to travel. Or you're going to want to be a person that maybe doesn't travel a lot but wants to have some more conveniences, some more comforts, those types of things when you do travel. Having access to like lounges and stuff is really nice. Expedited services at the airport, those types of things come in really handy. So it may not be value from a dollars and cents perspective, but from a convenience and comfort perspective, you can also get quote unquote value out of these cards.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good way to put it, Jeff, and something that I actually wouldn't have thought to bring up for a newbie is that, all of the wonderful benefits that we'll talk about with Nexus, Global Entry, and even Clear now can really enhance your airport experience and not have a dollar value, but be intrinsic in terms of just how much easier it makes your travel day. The one point I want to build off with Josh is that I was recently having a conversation with someone who wanted to use their points for the JW Marriott Masai Mara Lodge after I'd literally just traveled there, and it was excellent. Absolutely loved it. Would do it again in a heartbeat, even though it costs 700,000 points now or whatever it is for 5 nights. And they brought up the topic of buying points, and I was like, well, you could, right? Like you could spend the money to buy the points, but if you break it down, you're buying the points for like 1.2 cents per point Canadian versus 100,000 points for $800 annual fee on the Platinum card. If you take advantage of none of the credits, you're saving like 40% of the cost. So when we break it down in that, if you're looking at just purchasing points for the cost of an annual fee, granted that you hit your sign-up bonus, that's the biggest mindset change that I think people need to make with signing up for these cards and signing up for multiple that maybe have the same benefits, and you're not going to get any more airport experience or anything like this. It's just a math equation. So we'll get to that a little bit later on, but I think that's a good thing to keep in mind as well for somebody that's new. So some of the general benefits of premium credit cards, we've touched on these a little bit, but airport lounge access is a big one. I know that Quinton, actually, to bring him up again, got into the points and miles maximization world because he wanted to visit airport lounges. And they do kind of have a mystique to them. I think they're wearing off a little bit now, as we talked about in our airport lounge episode. But that's not the only benefit. Josh, what else do we have for some general benefits of $400 plus credit cards?
Yeah, many of them offer complimentary hotel or frequent flyer program status, which is a huge benefit. Of course, the value may vary based on the match there. A classic one is some cards offer Marriott Bonvoy Gold, which is okay, I guess, nothing really notable. But then other cards offer Hilton Honors Gold, which actually gets you to the level where you do get free breakfast for 2 people, which is a massive value depending on how many times you're staying at a Hilton property during a year. So, similar kind of level of status there, but one of those is outsized, and you could probably make up a large chunk of your annual fee on breakfast alone if you stay at many Hiltons. It's similar what we see with frequent flyer, right? You might get an entry level of status or a slight bump up through a card, and if it's an airline that you fly frequently, there's definitely value to be had there, but it really depends on your travel patterns.
Yeah. And then, Jeff, we've also got things like the Nexus and Global Entry credits. Those can actually have an intrinsic value on top of the time that they'll save you.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think all of us have Nexus, and I think we would all agree that once you have it, you can never go back to not having it. So yeah, so maximizing that credit is kind of a no-brainer. It's a bit of an ordeal to initially open a Nexus card, but once you're past that, it honestly is one of the most powerful memberships you can have as a frequent traveler for sure. So easy one there. This one is offered on tons of cards. I think just about most premium cards in Canada. So this is an easy one to maximize, and that I encourage everyone to maximize.
Yeah, no, some easy value that you can get back from your annual fee. If you are signing up for one of these for the first time, using your Nexus credit is an easy way to justify some of that cost. But the earn rates on these cards are often a little bit higher. I mean, in Canada, things are always a little bit different. Like the Cobalt card in Canada, definitely not a premium card from its price point. I mean, it's $190, but that's the best earning card by a wide margin in terms of like groceries, eats, and drinks, and that sort of thing. However, you can also get quite a good return with like the MX Aeroplan Reserve cards. What is it, like 3 points per dollar, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, three points per dollar when you're spending on Air Canada.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's just the Amex premium card. That doesn't apply to the TD and CIBC premium cards, does it? It's less, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's just the Aeroplan Reserve is where you're going to get the 3X with Air Canada, which is some good earn rates. I mean, if you're going to be booking a lot of cash flights with Air Canada, then it's nice to have the extra earn. But we always talk about the U.S. market and how there is a little bit more innovation going on there. The MX Platinum, just the regular vanilla consumer platinum down in the States, you get 5X on any airfare booked, which is really nice. Now, you do have to have a U.S. address and get an ITIN and go through all the rigmarole of getting yourself a U.S. credit card, but there can be significantly increased earn rates on these premium credit cards on top of rental car statuses, travel insurances. But Josh, I think the biggest reason why people would sign up for premium credit cards is the welcome bonuses typically are the largest, right?
Yeah, so you get those nice increased earning rates, but the welcome bonuses just blow everything out of the water typically. So yes, you're paying more, but you might be earning 3, 4, 5 times what you would earn on a non-premium card, depending on the currency and the issuer. Big bonuses do go hand in hand with higher spend requirements or more complex spending requirements. So it is something to be aware of as well. You might need to spend $15,000, $10,000 in a short time period. There might be a multi-year component that you have to spend X in this year and then Y in the next year, depending on how it's structured. Offers change all the time. But if you have the capacity to do a reasonable or reasonably high volume of spend, you're not going to find better welcome bonuses than what is offered on premium cards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we look at just the highest earning card that we mentioned earlier, which is going to be the Cobalt card in Canada, that usually has 15,000 points, maybe 20,000 points as a welcome bonus. And the Platinum card, if it's 80,000 as a welcome bonus in Canada, that's a low bonus, right? Usually we're sitting in the 6-figure range for both the Platinum and the Business Platinum. So at that point, it's just the math equation, like we were talking about before. Would you pay $800 for 100,000 transferable points? And you need to figure out what you're going to use those points for, and if it's worth paying $800 for in return. So one of the things that premium cards always come with is coupons. So the couponization of the credit card world is something that's really come to light in the last 2 or 3 years. And you need to wrap your head around it as you get into premium cards and you're trying to justify the annual fee with bringing down the overall cost by using some of the rebates that are available. And the biggest thing that you need to understand is you cannot value these credits at face value because it's designed for breakage. And someone quickly define for me, what is breakage in this sense that we're talking about?
The way I would define it is making the credits, what's a good word? Maybe cumbersome to use, or spacing them out in a way that might make you tend to forget when to use a specific credit and when it resets and where you need to use it, under what circumstances you need to use it, and so on. It's a way for banks to offer you potential value, but it's also a way for them to make it so that you may not be able to maximize the full value of the specific credit.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they're banking on the fact that, well, they can advertise the card has 400, like let's use the MX Platinum in Canada as a perfect example. It's an $800 annual fee with $400 in easy-to-use credits. Now, you've got a $200 travel credit, which is pretty easy to use. You just use it once between your card member year. And then you've also got the dining credit, which I believe is a calendar year credit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a calendar year credit. So you use it between January and December, and you get your $200 in dining when you eat at a restaurant. What they're banking on, MX Canada being they, is that not everyone is going to take advantage of either of those. So they're going to forget which one is calendar year, which one is card member year, and you're going to let the credit expire. And while they can advertise, you've got $400 in credits, not every single consumer is going to take advantage of those $400 in credits.
And part of that breakage is that all these credits come with conditions, which is the other part of it. So, for example, the travel credit isn't just a travel credit. It's a travel credit through Amex Travel.
That's right. Yes. And the dining credit, you have to use at specific restaurants, and the restaurants change all the time.
Yep.
Right? So it's one of these things you got to be intentional about to use them. So you can't value these credits at face value because you wouldn't pay somebody $100 to have a $100 gift card because you now lose the flexibility of your money. So, well, you can use that as an idea of, hey, I'm going to get roughly this amount back. You shouldn't value them at, hey, I've got $400 in credits. Maybe take like 25% off of them in terms of the actual value, because there is value in your time in how much you're going to go out of your way to use these. So the coupons are also designed to target high margin products that don't cost the banks nearly what their face value is. So they've got some sort of a deal with the Expedia program that runs their MX Travel and some sort of agreement with the restaurants. And these are the fine dining restaurants in Canada, just as an example. So you're not going to be getting $200 in McDonald's credits coming back to you. And this comes back to the fact that some coupons are going to be easier to use than others. So chase the low-hanging fruit. And some of the low-hanging fruit examples would be, Josh, why don't you chime in here and give us some of the low-hanging fruit examples?
For sure. So it was already called out, the Amex Platinum card has the $200 travel and $200 dining. The travel one's not too hard to use. The dining one takes a little bit more effort, but it's a nice night out at the worst of times. The Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite Privilege card has a $250 travel credit. This one, again, a little bit different. It has to be booked via Scene Plus Travel, which is essentially a Scene branded Expedia portal, so not too terrible. The BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite Privilege is arguably one of the few cards where it's super simple to use. You just charge a transaction over $200 for anything, and you get that credit. So that, in my mind, is as good as cash, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then the Aventura VIP has a $200 travel credit as well. Again, has to be booked through their kind of proprietary travel portal. So you have to be okay with, potentially giving up, hotel elite night credits, stuff like that. So it's hard to value those at the actual credit that you're getting.
Good for boutique hotels.
Absolutely, yeah. Or super short haul flights if, you don't really care because you're not going to be earning that much on it. Right. So there's definitely options.
Well, I mean, most of the time, if you're booking a flight through a travel portal, you'll still get all of your points and stuff and all that for flights. It's just really hotels you got to watch out for. But Jeff, in the States, I'm not going to get you to list them all because we've got like 10 points here for low-hanging fruit in the U.S. The couponization in the U.S. has really gone crazy. Jeff, give us a couple of the examples and then I'll finish off the list.
Yeah, so popular ones are a lot of people like to get into the premium hotel credit cards from the US just because there's nothing like that available in Canada. So specifically, Hilton and Marriott are very popular with Canadians who access US credit cards. So the Aspire has a $50 airline credit that I think is available quarterly. You also get, does the Aspire have a statement credit for stays?
Yeah,
I don't remember if it does.
It does.
Semi-annual resort.
Yeah,
only.
so you get, $200 every 6 months for at Hilton Resort properties, which is a much larger list than you probably think it is. So they've actually got a resort section on their website that you can look it up. For Canadians, the Hilton in Whistler counts as a resort, and the cash rates in off season are usually pretty decent. So if you want to use it for a real stay, then you can totally get like a $50 night at the Hilton up there in the off season, which is nice.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly mention the Bonvoy Brilliant because I hold that card. The $25 monthly dining credit is super easy to use. It works anywhere in the world. You don't have to register for it. You don't have to sign up for it. You just simply put your dining on that card, and up to $25 a month will be wiped out with the statement credit. So super easy to use. The Bonvoy Brilliant has a surprisingly few number of coupons on it as it currently stands. So I wouldn't be surprised if that changes soon. But for now, pretty easy to use.
Yeah, and actually, speaking about breakage, or speaking about the Bonvoy Brilliant and breakage, I had that card, and we'll get to it a little bit later on, but I decided I didn't want to have that card anymore. And part of the reason was I actually found the $25 dining credit to be extremely confusing, and I missed out on a whole bunch of credits because I thought it went by card member statement, not calendar year month, and that's just something that I misread when I first signed up for it. So that's just an example of adding all these little credits that you got to keep track of. Easy to mix things up. And even the experts, quote unquote, can make mistakes like this. So this is a perfect example of the breakage that these companies are looking for. So a few of the other easy to hit low hanging fruit in the US is going to be Lululemon credits that have just started on the new vanilla platinum card. It's not called the vanilla platinum card, but it's just the easiest way for us to describe it. The consumer platinum card in the States, $75 in store or on the US online store. So $75 a quarter, easy to use. The new Resi credits for the US platinum card, really easy to use. You don't have to do anything. You have to activate it, but after you activate it, dine at any Resi restaurant that's listed on the thing. You don't have to book a reservation or anything, and you're good to go. You just get the credit after you charge an incidental on there. And then the FHR credits, so Fine Hotels and Resorts. This is something that's been around for quite some time. Book a prepaid stay through Fine Hotels and Resorts, which you get access to through your Amex Platinum card, and you get a statement credit back. This has now been increased to $600 a year on the U.S. Platinum cards. Pretty much all of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single U.S. Platinum card, $600 in Fine Hotels and Resort credits. And it's eligible for one-night stays, which is nice. Or you can do the hotel collection, which is like lower-end hotels with a 2-night minimum. So some nice flexibility there as well. Also, the free night certificates, I think, are an important mention here. Mm-hmm. Josh, maybe you want to chime in on the free night certificates, because I know you're a lover of the Hilton free night certificates.
Yeah, the free night certificates that are offered on some of these premium cards, particularly, I guess we have a little bit in Canada and mostly in the United States, are as good as gold. So when it comes to the United States, the Bonvoy Brilliant offers a free night certificate worth 85,000 Marriott Bonvoy points upon cardholder anniversary. So you don't get it when you get approved, but you do get it every year thereafter. Bonvoy certs can be topped up with 15,000 points, so it's as good as 100K if you have points available, which is pretty good. For Bonvoy, things do get more expensive, but still good value. Where the real value lies is the Hilton Honors program. So the Aspire card gives you a free night when you apply and approve for the card, and then a free night at the cardholder anniversary every year thereafter. And these nights, as they stand currently, I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop, but they're currently pretty much uncapped is the best way to put it. They can be used on any night, weekday, weekend, as long as there's standard room availability or standard award availability at the resort. So, if you want to stay at the Waldorf Astoria in Cabo, that's 250,000 points a night. Like, you can use a free night certificate for that if you can find standard availability. So if you like high-end aspirational hotels and you participate in Hilton Honors, it's super easy to use those certificates for crazy value.
Yeah, and that's like a coupon that you can count towards the annual fee, right? So, the Aspire card is probably one of the unique ones where there's lots of coupons where it very much easily outweighs the annual fee. But if you can't use all the coupons for whatever reason, then you can count that free night as hey, I've still got $200 in annual fee left that I haven't accounted for. Well, you can pay $200 in the annual fee to stay at a Curio Collection or a Tempo or what is it now, the Waldorf Astoria, some really, really nice properties for 200 USD that you would never be able to find with regular cash rates. So they can totally be considered a coupon there too, and definitely a low-hanging fruit. But moving on to how we assess the value of a premium credit card and how you, the listener and the watcher, can assess the value of the premium credit card. We've talked about it a little bit. I think that it's pretty easy to calculate for the first year of a card. And what I mean by that is basically you just take the amount of credits that you think you'll be able to use. Depending on the credit, take 25% off the value of it. Subtract that from the annual fee, and then look at how many points you're going to get from that remaining annual fee. And if it's a good value and you're going to use those points right away, or they're transferable points where it doesn't matter if you're going to use them right away, it's a great deal, right? That's the way to evaluate it for the first year. Going forward, it changes a little bit. So I guess I'll get Jeff to talk about how you make your decision on whether you keep a card year after year for these premium, really expensive ones.
Yeah, so I had several premium cards, I would say maybe 2 to 3 years ago, and I found that too many of the benefits were overlapping. And by that, I mean lounge access comes with almost every premium card. And if you have it on 3 cards, kind of a waste in my opinion, because you really only need one. So as long as you have one of those cards that covers lounge access for the most part worldwide, I think you're kind of set. So for me, that was kind of the defining or the distinguishing factor for me that kind of made me decide to downgrade from having so many premium cards to deciding to just hold one. And for example, I had the Aeroplan Reserve and the Bonvoy Brilliant. I kind of value hotel status more than airline status or airline benefits. And since they both have lounge access, I figure, well, the Aeroplan Reserve card only covers lounges in North America, whereas the Bonvoy Brilliant card has Priority Pass, which is worldwide. So for me, the decision was pretty easy. I ended up closing the Aeroplan Reserve card and just decided to keep the one card, the Bonvoy Brilliant. And I've been pretty happy with that decision just because, as I mentioned earlier, there's almost no coupons on the Bonvoy Brilliant aside from the dining credit. So it doesn't require a lot of, mental bandwidth, as I like to call it. So that was kind of the thinking that I put into deciding which cards to hold. But it's kind of up to the individual. If you can maximize more of them, go for it. But just for simplicity's sake, I just wanted to stick with one.
And the one thing I didn't hear there was anything about an Amex Platinum card. Are you not a holder or not a believer in the Amex Platinum card, Jeff?
I've held it in the past. I'm not a current believer, though.
So no Centurion ice cream or coffee clubs
No,
for Mr. Jameson.
no.
No. And what about you, Josh? How do you define the value and which cards you end up keeping long term for these really expensive ones?
Yeah, I really look at, what are the necessities for me and what do I want? So hotel cards are a big focus. So I do keep the Bonvoy Brilliant. It's an easy security blanket for Platinum Elite status, just as a, if I'm not going to get it organically. The free night certificate's super nice. Same as Jeff, the dining credit's really easy. I just remember the first kind of restaurant or Uber purchase I do at the start of the month. I throw it on that. Similarly, both myself and my partner hold a Hilton Aspire ongoing. It's really nice to have the top tier status just given to you. Plus the free nights are excellent. And it's nice that we both have status. So if she travels by herself with friends or whatever, she still benefits from that. And then the other keeper I have is I always have a business platinum card in the States. That's my main ticket to lounge access. So that's kind of something I always have now, whether I'm getting a new one instead of holding one year over year, that's, depends on the situation. But I think the lounge access on that card is phenomenal. Everything's gotten better with the fine hotels and resorts credit. We have the airline credit on that card, the Hilton credit on that card, mobile credit on the card, and those all are easy-ish to use without a lot of effort. So I when I look at my keeper cards, I look at, can I get a decent amount of value still against the annual fee with putting about 20% of the effort in? Like, I don't want to try to get the maximum dollar out of everything and min-max it too far, but I want to make sure I'm getting enough value that it makes sense. So that's kind of my approach, is more of a focus on the premium hotel cards just for status and free nights, and then a little bit of something extra for lounge access.
Yeah, no, I think lounge access is a common theme here throughout. As the most frequent traveler on the team, I mean, this has been established over and over again. I have a bit of a different approach. I usually end up with somewhere around 100 elite qualifying nights at Marriott properties every year. So for me, the appeal of the Bonvoy Brilliant kind of falls off because I can get priority pass through so many different cards, and I don't need that security blanket, as Josh put it, of needing the platinum status, because I'll never get to ambassador. I'm not spending $23,000 at Marriott properties. I'm not that bougie. Don't want y'all to get the wrong idea. But I do always get titanium elite status every single year. So for me, I decided to actually downgrade my Bonvoy Brilliant, and I was just going to go right down to the $95 American Express Marriott Bonvoy card as the official term for it. That gets a 35K cert. But then the agent that I was chatting with on Amex actually said, well, you've spent like $10,000 on your Bonvoy Brilliant card already this year. If you spend $5,000 more and downgrade to the Bevy, you'll get a 50K free night certificate. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's interesting. And on top of that, you get 1K for every stay that you do with Marriott. And I mean, gosh, I probably stay individual stays like 40 Marriott stays per year. So that's an additional 40,000 Marriott points. So for me, it actually made sense for the Bevy. We've called it out, I think, in an episode that we published sometime in March about Marriott Bonvoy Elite status, that this is a card that nobody wants, but I have it. So things kind of changed for me on that side of things. And for lounge access, what I do is the MX Canada supplementary card bonuses have been spectacular. Whether it's my significant other or whether it's one of my player 3s or player 4s, even player 5 and 6s I've got going on now, I'll add myself on as a supplementary user in Canada, do a little bit of spending, get them their bonus points. They get bonus points for cheap. I get lounge access. and it kind of works. So I'm constantly cycling through cards, but the only other card that we for sure keep every year is the US Amex Platinum card. We probably get like $1,000 back in credits from the now $8.95 annual fee. So it makes a lot of sense for our household in particular. So with that wrap up on premium credit cards, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Miles Ahead. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any questions about anything we discussed, please leave a comment wherever you're listening or on the episode page at FrugalFlyer.ca. If you have a question you want us to answer on air, you could submit it at FrugalFlyer.ca/podcast. Bye, everybody.